I've been really interested in the concept of introverts and extroverts. And Carl Jung expertly and geniusly pointed out, he coined those two phrases, which have just become just completely just trash. No one knows what an extrovert or introvert is in today's culture, because the actual book, Psychological Types, that was published in the 18th century, 19th century, sorry, no one understands what that is. And I could be very wrong about this, but I truly believe that no one who uses the words introvert or extrovert knows what the hell they're talking about. And I simultaneously think that those two words in that entire thought process itself became extremely diluted because not enough people understood. And then those psychologists watered down that version. You can get the rest of the you can get the rest of the point. But how Carl Jung derived these two modes of extroversion, introversion it was a bottom up enterprise. It wasn't a top down, me in a romantic sense, me forcing these traits on you. He was using an historical analysis. I think Carl Jung is actually one of the first cognitive scientists to even exist, because he was making a cognitive point when he was talking about introverts and extroverts. He wasn't talking about their social, about their personality. He never said anything about that in this book, Psychological Types. I haven't seen it. I could be wrong about that, but from what I've read, from other things that I've read of Carl Jung, he never made a social point. He never said that introverts don't like talking. He never said that extroverts are loud and they're all over the place and they do drugs. He never ever said any of that. The point that he was making was that he was saying that their perceptions themselves are dictating those actions. Their perceptions and their conceptions of their cognition, of how they acquire information, how they acquire their senses. That is the fundamental difference between introverts and extroverts, that which then give rise to later theories like the Big Five: personality, extroversion, conscientiousness, openness, creativity, so on and so forth. So how he derived these two things, he would use two historical figures that shared a commonality, that shared a same philosophy, that shared the same discipline, but they came from opposite directions. So one of the things that he used, one of the two people that he used was Martin Luther. And I famously forget the other guy's name. I don't know the other guy's name, but he was some other theologian. So what he was doing was he was comparing how two people in history who shared a professionalism, who shared a common career, that came to opposite conclusions. How is that possible? Because the extrovert, one of the things that he said, the extrovert abstracts. The extrovert does not care about objects. Objects are arbitrary to extroverts. Objects meaning people, things, ideas. The extrovert in its most dramatic sense doesn't think anything exists. I know that sounds crazy, but he's actually right about this, because the way he described this was he used Martin Luther as an example. So Martin Luther was inherently the introvert. On the other hand, the introvert subordinates themselves to the objects. The introvert in this most logical conclusion, in this most extreme conclusion, introvert romantically attaches himself to objects. I'm not viewing this object because I am blown away by it. I'm just being bombarded with sense data, but I am taking that sense data in and I'm saying, I wonder what this thing is. I wonder how I can use this for my own worth. That's what the introvert does. The introvert thinks, the introvert feels, the introvert perceives things, perceives people, perceives thoughts, perceives ideas, perceives love, perceives so on and so on by thinking. It's cognition. And the extrovert does the complete opposite thing. So the extrovert is indifferent towards sense data in a way. The extrovert abstracts and he pulls himself away. He says, well, I can get that same thing doing it this way. That's why there's a difference between business owners and entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is not a business owner, and a business owner is not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is in multiple different domains. He's in multiple different areas. He's just hopping from ship to ship to ship to ship. This one sinks, going to another one. If I'm doing this, I'm going over here. Elon Musk, for example. Elon Musk, he's in outer space, and the next day he's driving cars, and the next day he's buying Twitter, then the next day he's doing this, and the next day he's doing flamethrowers. He's doing a million things. Elon Musk is an entrepreneur. He is abstracting himself from the objects. He's not romantically attached to one specific endeavor. On the other hand, someone like a business owner, so like a small business owner who is attached, who is this is my thing. I am actually romantically attached to this object. They are the mom and pop shops. They're the ones who stay in that business, who have that one man shop. I'm doing everything. I'm the cook. I'm the chef. I'm the cleaner. I'm everything. I'm at the door. I'm doing the accounting. I'm doing the financing. I'm doing everything. Business owners are a lot more insular, hence that prefix introvert. I'm in this thing. I'm romantically attached to it. If that business, he will drive that business to the ground. If it didn't make a single revenue cent in years, he will still be in that business because he's romantically attached to it. I want this done this specific way, this specific time, this specific manner. The extrovert says, oh, okay, well, you just get it done. Those are cognitive differences. That's not social at all. And what Kant and Hume, how they interact with this, is that Hume is inherently the introvert. Hume is romantically attached to his object-subject dichotomy, his object-subject, his senses. He's romantically attached to it. He can't abstract and look and get outside of this interpretive framework. He is centered in on it. He's romantically attached to it. Kant comes along, he sees the mistakes that Hume says. He says, well, I can interpret abstract a priori that 7 plus 5 equals 12. I can interpret that with outside my senses. I don't need to subject myself to this methodology. I can get it a different way. Kant inherently abstracted himself from the object, and he viewed himself subordinate. Therefore concluding Kant extrovert, Hume introvert. You can do that with people all day long. Just look at how one person reacts to outside stimuli and compare it to how the other person did. If you can do that, it's a little fun little thing.